Greetings, I am Herbert Erpaderp, and in this video, which has kindly been sponsored by Metro Hobbies, I'm going to have a look at what's in this AFV Club 35th scale M101A1 and Carriage M2A2 box. I mean, it's obvious what's in the box, it's clearly labelled, but you can't see what's in there without opening it, and I somehow don't think they would really appreciate that if you do so before buying it, so I'm going to do it for you. This kit was sent to me by Metro Hobbies for the purpose of making this video, and a subsequent build video after I've built it on stream. If you're interested, there's a link where you can purchase this kit in the description below. So thank you Metro Hobbies, I appreciate your support. You've probably had long enough to check out the box art by now, so here's what's inside. There's a bunch of sprues.
Oh really?
Quiet you. All of which are individually bagged. The A sprue has the most parts, and you'll notice that a lot of them are quite small. I was kind of surprised by this when I opened the box at first, though I probably really shouldn't have been. All of the mechanisms and doodads on a gun like this are relatively exposed, so it does make sense that there's going to be some fiddly bits in here. The parts here look really good if you ask me. They're crisp and neatly moulded. I wasn't able to find any obvious defects, and I did look as I usually do. There are mould lines because, well, those are kind of unavoidable, and there is certainly going to be bits to clean up when we cut the parts off the sprues, but I don't imagine that's going to take a whole lot of time or effort. The number of small parts might present a bit of a challenge for cleanup though, at least if you've got fat fingers like me. Shouldn't be too bad though. Here we see sprue B, which lacks Bs, but we won't deduct points for lack of Bs, mostly because we don't assign points here. There are fewer tiny pieces on here, though there are some, and the quality is the same as the previous sprue, unsurprisingly. Spoiler, they're all good in this kit. I can't tell you what most of these parts are, but rest assured that they're all important, probably. Sprue C here also has quite a few tiny little bits, the function and purpose of which I am uncertain. I think one of the challenges I'm going to face in building this kit is not losing some of these tiny parts. I'm going to have to be extra careful. Like I said, it can be tricky to clean up small parts, and they do have a tendency to go flying when you clip them from the sprue, at least if you're not careful. It might be wise to offer a sacrifice to the carpet monster before beginning work on this model. Also, look at that tiny little, I think it's a lever, part 17. I think I'm going to be using tweezers quite a bit in this build. There are two of this D sprue, and it seems the main component here is the wheels, along with even more tiny parts. There are various hooks and rods and handles, all of which are quite fine and thin. Initially I was thinking that this kit might take 2 streams to complete, but as I look at these parts, I'm starting to re-evaluate that estimate. It may actually take 3 or more streams, but we'll see how we go, and it's not like I'm complaining. This just means that you get more modelling time from the kit really. More value for money. For some reason there is no E sprue, so we go straight to sprue F, and there are parts here that I can identify. This is mostly gun shield parts and what appears to be the axle and some wheelie doodads. There's not really much to say about these that I haven't already said. They look good. The detail is nice, and those bolt and hinge parts should catch highlights and weathering nicely when it comes time to paint. That's all of the plastic parts, but there is still more to see, like these photo etch parts. These are mostly chains, and they look to be very fine, though I do kind of wonder if maybe they could be replaced with more 3-dimensional chain. You'd obviously have to source that somewhere else yourself. There's also a pair of what appears to be builder's plates in a silvery colour. As far as photo etch goes, this doesn't seem like it's going to be too fiddly to deal with. On the other side of the little baggie, we find the decals. It was kind of hard to get a photo of these that would show the white, so this is what we have. They do look pretty good, and there's a few choices of markings here, including the US Army, of course, Australia, and a Chinese salute battery, which is interesting. I think I'll end up doing mine as an Australian gun. I've never used AFV Club decals, so I can't speak of their quality, but I'm sure they're fine. Next, we see this rubbery sprue with polycaps on it, or at least that's what I'm assuming these are. Polycaps normally come in a little baggie, but I suppose this is just as good a way to receive them. Made of the same rubbery stuff, we have 2 tyres. I think these are self-explanatory, or I hope so anyway. These will be a really fine addition to the wheels, and they look the way Tyres should. I don't know what else to say about them. You might have noticed that there was no gun barrel on the plastic sprues, and that's because we get this aluminium gun barrel, which is very nice. It's even got rifling on the inside, though it is kind of hard to see. I really like this. Much easier than a 2-part plastic gun barrel, or one that I have to remove mold lines from. Very nice. And that's all of the parts in the box. There is of course this painting and marking guide, which is in colour, though it does only include 2 examples, the Republic of China salute battery and the Korean army gun. There are more examples in the instruction booklet which we see here, though obviously the marking guide isn't in the front here. There is some history about the M101A1, its variants and applications. There's also a list of colours, a list of all the icons you'll see in the instructions, and some tips for decal application. The instructions themselves seem to be pretty well laid out and easy enough to follow. There are callouts to let you know when things need to be done differently if you want the gun to be in the firing position or the hauling position, which is quite handy, and there are also callouts for colours if you would like to paint this as you build it. I don't think I'll be doing that, but it is always an option. Obviously, having not yet built the model, I don't know how good these instructions are, but I will be sure to mention any issues I might encounter when I make the build video. The marking guide here shows more options. I guess it makes sense that these wouldn't also need a colour illustration. These guns are all a single colour after all. This is mostly just so that you can see where the markings go. That'll be quite helpful. I would only be guessing if I were to apply the decals without this. The last page has the Sprue guide, which you can refer to if you think you might be missing something from your kit. It's probably not going to be an issue, but it is nice to have. And that's what's in the box. It looks like it should be a pretty good model, and while it's undoubtedly going to be quite fiddly, even more than I had initially expected, I think it's going to be fun. I've never built a gun like this before. Well, that's not entirely accurate. I have built them, but only as wargaming models, which are obviously smaller and composed of far fewer parts. This is obviously a more detailed model, and I thought it would be something a bit different to what I normally do. I'm going to start building this pretty soon. If you're watching this about the time it's been uploaded, I'll be streaming the build on either Monday the 15th of February or the day after, which would be the Tuesday, obviously. This is Australian Eastern Standard Time, by the way. At this point I'm not totally sure which day I'll start on, so just keep an eye out for it I suppose. There's a link to my Twitch channel where I'll be streaming it in the description below. Shortly after however many streams it takes to get this built, there will be a build video here on YouTube, and if you're watching far enough in the future, there will be links to that video somewhere around here, so either check that out or look forward to checking it out. As I said at the beginning of the video, this video, and the subsequent build streams and video, are sponsored by Metro Hobbies, so a big thank you to them. If you're interested in this kit, there's a link in the description through which you can purchase it, and there's also a more general link you can use to peruse Metro Hobbies' many items. Definitely check them out, especially if you're also in Australia. This is a store that I personally use, and quite a few of the kits you'll see on my channel come from Metro Hobbies, even when they're not sponsored. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to put those in the comment section below. If you've built this kit yourself, and you have any tips or tricks or anything you think I should keep an eye out for, feel free to put that in the comment section too. And if you've not already done so, why not subscribe, follow, ring the bell, become a patron if you want to see my videos a bit early, or maybe just come say hi on Discord or Twitch. Links to all of my things are in the description below, and, as always, I shall return soon. So, until then, be excellent to each other, and thank you for watching. Farewell.